Hey guys, in this video we're taking the interior of this disgusting, dirty farm truck and we're detailing it out completely and pretty much pressing the restart button on this interior. It's gonna be a lot of work, but it's gonna be super cool to watch. Now, I don't normally see trucks like this on an everyday basis, but when the price is right, and of course it makes a great video, it's a win-win for everybody. So I'm gonna walk you guys through this whole process, and I'm only using one single product to detail out the entire interior. Now, as you guys are taking kind of the first look of how horrible this farm truck really is, this is like the purest definition of a farm truck. I mean, this is actually used on a farm, and it shows. So, just to give you guys a little bit of context, the one product that I'm going to be using in this video is from Renegade's new detail series, or professional detailer series, and it's their citrus all-purpose cleaner. And while I could go on and on about how great it is, it will show itself in this video, so just wanted to show you guys exactly what product I am using, and I've got it diluted at about, say, 5:1. So a couple things to note just on the front end. Number one, the floorboards are not actually carpet, they're just rubber. This is kind of like a, what would you say, like a what's the word I'm looking for? All-terrain sort of vehicle. I'm not dealing with carpet, which makes my job a lot easier. I'm dealing with leather and just regular rubber floors. It's just kind of like a rubber mat almost as a floorboard there. So while vacuuming is going to take just a little while, cleaning it actually shouldn't be that difficult, though the dirt is in literally every place it could possibly be in this truck. And so it is important to manage expectations when you're dealing with something like this. And while I normally don't take on vehicles like this, I do sometimes, again, when the price is right and it makes a great video, so it's just a win-win for everybody. But I did make it very, very clear on the front end that while, yes, it's going to be improved, I would literally have to spend 5 days on this car to make it 100% perfect. And so I priced accordingly based on the expectation of, if I'm only going to take this for about 6 to 7 hours, then it is only going to be so great or so good. However, the end result definitely speaks for itself. Now, getting into it, again, I'm just diluting the citrus all-purpose cleaner, the citrus safe touch all-purpose cleaner. I spilled a ton of it on my detailing cart there. Anyway, I'm using this product in just a regular spray bottle here, and I'm starting with the doors. Before I move to any interior in there on the driver's side, I am starting with the door. Now, I'm calling this giving it a bath, alrighty? So I know guys get all weirded out and they're like, I don't want to use too much product, I don't want to like destroy the buttons. Number one, the door handle on this door panel is missing, and number two, half of the buttons in the car actually don't even work anymore. That was made clear on the front end as well, and so I'm actually not quite as worried about it as I normally would be. This is what I call hitting the restart button on a car, because you can also see I'm using the magic eraser, and I'm not really being very cautious with it. The reason why a lot of people get scared with the magic eraser is because sometimes it can act as a sort of sandpaper, maybe 8,000 to 9,000 grit sandpaper. However, in this case, I'm not going to be damaging anything. The door panels are plenty resilient enough to take what I'm doing, but I am going to be using the magic eraser, the citrus all-purpose cleaner, and the steamer basically on every hard surface of this car, including the leather, and I'm not going to be shy about it. I'm also going to be pulling out the drill brushes to deal with the cup holders and things like that, but the only time I'm really pulling out the detailing brushes is when I'm dealing with the interior, dealing with radio buttons, steering wheel, places where I'm having kind of, it's a bit more difficult to get into those areas. So with that being said, there's not a lot else to say about this other than it takes a lot of elbow grease. So here we go. Now here I'm using my vacuum and the steamer simultaneously, and I kind of call this like my dentist approach. I don't know if that's a good general term for it, but kind of like a dentist puts that like pipe that like sucks all the water out of your mouth while he's working on your teeth to kind of make sure that he's got a clear area to see. That's kind of what that does. So I'm steaming in there, kind of pushing all the gunk to the bottom, and then my vacuum cleaner is just sucking that up. Before you do that, you might want to take out the paper filter inside of the vacuum cleaner if you're using shop vac or a rigid or anything like that. However, and empty it, of course, but it is a wet dry vac and can be done pretty simply. I'm also going to take the magic eraser inside of these cup holders as well as my non-abrasive scrub pad, because the magic eraser is going to get rid of a lot of the scuffs that are in this cup holder, and there are a ton of scuffs, but it is not going to take care of them 100% for obvious reasons. Now that being said, you guys can see I'm using plenty of chemical as I'm kind of going around these areas, whether it be the vents or the buttons. While I'm not going to damage anything, and of course I'm letting some common sense lead, in a situation like this, you really don't have another option but to use a ton of chemicals. And so while people sometimes get aggravated at that, that is just kind of the nature of the beast here, and there's not a lot else that can be done. Now, as I move to the back door here, I do want to mention, basically when you're dealing with vehicles like this, and they don't have to be farm trucks either, right? They can be just vehicles, maybe a minivan that takes kids around and just hasn't been cleaned in a while. What you find with the door panels, and generally on a lot of parts of the car, but the door panels really represent this very well, you basically find like this film that's just stuck, and especially with a farm truck, it's just stuck on the exterior of the door panel, and as you clean it, you literally can see the transformation, not only just on the magic eraser from the dirt you're picking up, but the door panel that you thought was actually like a dark tan or a dark gray color is actually like an off-white color, and you just couldn't tell because it was so dirty. And so door panels are one of those areas where you can see that before and after really clearly, and it kind of gives you a clue into the rest of the car, the rest of these, what I call the hard rubber, plastic, and leather and vinyl surfaces. So whether it be the console or the dashboard or the steering wheel, all these areas generally have just this horrible film with details that are this dirty, that the reason why I use the magic eraser so much is because it peels it off so quickly. I mean, truly, the magic eraser in no time will take that whole film off, and you guys are going to see in the after little shots that I got here at the end of the video how dramatic the before and after was when it comes to the door panels. But that being said, I just want to encourage you guys with the magic eraser. In cases like this, you don't need a ton of caution, in my opinion, and I've been doing this for 10 years, so take that for what it's worth. The other thing I'll say is that little speaker grill that sits on the door panels there, normally on the bottom right, kind of bottom interior section close to the door panel, that gets gunked up a lot of times. And you kind of wonder, how do I clean it? Because you don't want to spray a bunch of chemical in the speaker grill itself. And to that, I would just say angle the chemical and angle your steamer either up or down as you're cleaning it, because that will allow you to literally just clean the grill and not actually get any liquid on the interior section. So this is one of those areas that I think kind of separates detailing from just general car cleaning. I'm taking my steamer kind of in the cracks and crevice of this, what you could kind of call like the cup holder console area. Like there's this cavity that the plastic almost sits in right there. And I'm taking my steamer kind of on the outlining of that cavity because there's so much dirt and dust and stuff that collects there that I think this is one of those things where if you haven't been detailing very long, you probably wouldn't think about that kind of detail or that kind of thing. However, I do. And if you were wondering what I just threw in that bucket, I took the lining of the cup holder out, and because it had so much gunk stuck to it, I'm actually just going to let it sit in water for the next hour, and then all that stuff's going to come off a lot easier, so I'm just saving time there. That being said, I do want to just emphasize the steamer really does allow me to get into these places that I don't otherwise know how I would clean. You can't take a detail brush to that cavity that I was just talking about, that lining right there, that essentially it kind of acts like a seam inside of a leather seat acts. It collects all that dirt, dust, crumbs, all that sort of stuff that you're just not going to really see unless you pull the seams back. But this is, again, one of those areas where it's just like, if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there. But again, after detailing for a very long time, I can tell you this is a really important area, especially if it's all about the details. Now, as I go into cleaning the floorboards, I'm obviously going to vacuum first, and I'm going to keep my vacuum next to me because I'm going to have to be pulling it out a lot, and I just want to give you guys a little bit of an overview of what this is going to look like because I don't really show it all in the video just because it gets repetitive, and it's like, how long can you really watch somebody clean a floorboard? But basically, the process here is number 1, vacuum, number 2, spray a very liberal amount of chemical. In this case, it's the citrus all-purpose cleaner. Then I'm going to take my drill brush, I'm going to agitate all of that stuff, mop it up very simply. Then I'm going to take another bout of cleaner, spray some more cleaner, take my magic eraser, and kind of let that be like the final blow. My magic eraser getting all of the dirt out of the cracks and crevices because there are a lot of kind of grooves in this floorboard, particularly that you guys will be able to see kind of a textured piece. But that's kind of the process there. It's like chemical, drill brush, chemical, magic eraser, and then just kind of look for anything that might be left over, but hopefully nothing would be left over after that. I'll also say it's really important in this case to have a lot of different brushes, particularly drill brushes that can get inside of these kind of tiny areas because I'm going to have to be sticking it under the seat. So I'm going to put my round drill brush on. I'm going to have to get the face here, which I'm going to use my 2-inch drill brush for the small areas and the 4-inch for the larger areas. But that being said, this is one of those situations where it's like a rinse and repeat, and there's not an exact formula, and that's kind of what I want to stress here. While that is kind of the overview of what you guys are going to be seeing, there's not an exact answer here, and all I can say is like have a general 30,000 foot bird's eye view process that you follow, and outside of that, you're going to have to kind of take it on a case-by-case basis. You can see right here I'm pulling out my vacuum and my steamer to get inside of some of these cracks and crevices where the mud is just really difficult to push out, but the steamer makes it a lot easier to push out. So that being said, again, that is what I'm doing, but I am going to be pulling out tools and mix and matching things when I need to because you're not going to get all of this in a situation this extreme on the first pass, and you're not going to get it on the second pass. You might get it on the third pass, but you might even have to take more extreme measures than that. So after the floors, and I think you guys get the picture, I'm going to be doing the leather seats here, and I'm going to be using my magic eraser because it's just going to speed me up like nobody's business. So I'm just going to show you guys a few little snapshots of that before we finally get to the weather mats that were taken outside. But I'm going to be using the magic eraser. I'm going to be spraying the chemical directly on the leather seats. Again, I know that probably best practices say don't do that, but I will say in the real detailing world, when you're out there seeing cars on a daily basis, and specifically in a situation this extreme, once again, extreme cases call for extreme measures. You don't necessarily follow everything step by step. I'll also say that car leather kind of really is different in different cars. I know that sounds probably pretty obvious, but what I mean is one of the big reasons people say don't spray the chemical directly onto a leather seat is because, particularly with dark colored leather seats, you're going to see some strong alkaline cleaners sort of drip down the leather, and when you dry it off, you'll see these kind of drip streaking marks where that cleaner, quote unquote, kind of cleaned more in that concentrated area where that drop was formed. And as it drips down the seat, it kind of leaves this, kind of looks like a faded streak. That's not going to happen, number one, with these light colored leather seats, but also these leather seats are really not leather. They've got like a really protective plastic kind of clear coat on top of them, which most all leather seats do. But this is also a truck that's literally designed for the farm. So the seats here, I could let that citrus cleaner sit there and it still would not start like eating into the leather, even if I let it sit for like a minute or two. So I'm really not worried about that in this situation. These leather seats are a bit more rugged and resilient than maybe your average Mercedes, or, you know, if you're detailing like an M6 or something like that. That being said, I'm moving on to the second floorboard here, making sure that I use tons and tons and tons of chemicals, because again, you're not going to get on the first pass. So I'm here just loosening everything up. And here we go again. After all of that is said and done, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I pressure wash and clean all of the weather mats. And very simply, pressure wash, spray with my, again, the same citrus all-purpose cleaner, diluted 5-to-1. Take some drill brushes, make sure I agitate it really, 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 really aggressively, because these were extremely dirty. You guys are going to see kind of starts as complete mud and dust, and then you finally get back to that original what a weather mat should look like. But other than that, I'm going to let these dry, put them back into the vehicle, and then we'll take a look at what the finished result looks like. guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like videos like this, hit the thumbs up button. And if you want to check out any of the products or the tools that I used in this video, or probably product one or multiple tools that I used in this video, I'm gonna hook up Amazon links and links to all of the products in the description box below. So just use those at your convenience if you want to check out any of the stuff that I use. And as always, from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, if you haven't yet subscribed, hit the subscribe button to see more videos just like this. Keep working hard, and I'll see you guys in the next video.